Hello everyone, and welcome to one of our first videos for our Chess Evolve Academy. This is Women's Grandmaster Sabina Feuchor, one of the co-founders of this academy, which is an online academy that provides lessons for people of various ratings. We try to build a schedule and a plan on how to improve depending on what your level is. Another very strong player who's teaching, also co-founder of the academy, is Grandmaster Elshan Moradiabadi. You can check out more information about what we do on our website that you can see on top of the screen, but also you can scan the scan below this video, and you can follow us on our social media pages on Facebook and on Instagram. So we decided to organize online tournaments every Sunday, and our students have the opportunity to submit a game that they want us to go over, discuss, and just let them know how they did or how they could improve. So we thought we can make it even more beneficial for everyone if we also made a video, so it stayed on forever, and you guys can also learn more about our teaching skills. Hopefully we'll get Grandmaster Elshan Moradiabadi to do some videos as well and share his thoughts about some of the games. But for now, the task has come to me, so I'll be the one starting this YouTube series. Let us know if you enjoy it and if you like us to make more of these, and we'll try our best. So first, the first game that we have here was a game that was played between Rob and Blue Eidolon, and it's actually, of course, it's played between two players who maybe don't have such high ratings, but I think there's quite a lot of learning opportunities that we can get from this game. So Rob started with e4, c5, and c3. So the idea basically here is that white is trying to get this pawn to the center, and then when black captures, we want to capture back with the c pawn, and that way white is going to remain with two pawns in the center. An alternative here for white is to play knight f3, and this is quite typical, very popular, the most popular against the Sicilian. And the point is, after this move, you're supporting d4, and then you capture with the knight. But c3 is called the Alapin. It's quite popular as well, but not as popular black's response in this position. Black went for the move knight to c6. Those two arrows already showed you that I went through this game, analyzed it, and that's why you guys had the opportunity to see two arrows there. But knight f6 is the main move that a lot of people play, and if you are playing with the black pieces and you don't know what to play against the Alapin, if you want to come up with a variation against it, this is the main line. You would have to study quite a bit of theory, but it might pay off for you. So the pawn is attacked, we go e5 attacking the knight, black has to play knight d5, and now white gets control over the center. And capture happens, and now it is very important not to allow white to have this much space, right? And I count space the squares that people get behind the pawns that are pushed forward, so we can actually utilize that space to arrange our pieces in a good fashion. Here, black kind of has to play d6, and there are a few moves that white can play. For example, knight f3 to support the pawn there. We might even consider capturing with the knight. Bishop c4 is another move that white can play in this position to chase this knight away. And when you go back, then we can also give this check. So there are a few lines that white can play to in this position, but it's worth to kind of have an idea about it. Something else that I wanted to mention, if you want to try to play something a little bit less popular, but still quite a bit popular, you have this alternative of playing the move e6. With this move, you can transpose to a French. It's going to be a French pawn structure. When white gets to play d4, which is the reason why c3 was played, black can go d5, and now black has this French setup. If white wants to transpose into the French advanced variation, they'll go for e5. So with black, you would have to have some knowledge here if you're going to play this. But if you're trying to avoid the French, then you can consider going d5. in which case you're attacking the center really fast and you're trying not to let the white have two pawns in the center and pushed so much forward. So after pawn takes d5, queen takes d5, white can go here d4, and eventually at some point black is going to capture here and is going to play against an isolated pawn. But white is happy about it because they are the only ones with a pawn in the center, which gives them quite a bit of space behind it, and then they can easily develop their pieces. So this is something important for you guys to know about the Alapin. Knight c6 was played in this game, which I would consider maybe a bit dubious because it does not do very much about white's push in the center, and Rob played d4 very good, and here black responded with b6. Again, a move that I'm not fond of either because, you know, white just got quite a bit of space and you're not trying to do something in the center. Instead, you are kind of developing your pieces to the side, which will allow, and it actually attracts white to push this move d5, which is going to give black quite a difficult time, let's say, and we'll follow through the game to see what happened. Instead of that, I recommend capture, of course, as you saw my arrow already pointing there. And after capture, play the move d5. With this move, you're attacking the center and making white decide whether they want to push and have a bit more space, but in which case this bishop will be able to get developed to f5, or capture here, in which case after queen takes, white gets a position with an isolated pawn. And there is this idea now after knight f3, bishop g4, there is this idea that you need to avoid falling for if you're playing with the black pieces. Please be mindful about it. And it's certainly a trap that you might want to know with white. So in this position, right, so you pinned the knight, which means when you pin this knight, you're threatening to capture this one. So when white plays bishop e2, you can think, ooh, actually, if I deflect the knight, then I will have two pieces attacking this pawn and they only have one, so I can get the chance to actually win the pawn. But the truth is, this is a huge mistake. Please don't fall for it. I had a few students fall for it, and I feel like I should let you guys know about it. So queen takes d4. It's a huge blunder here because we have a deflection. See how this queen is protected by the knight only. Rid of the knight, then the queen is hanging, so we can capture, and this is a trap you do not want to fall for if you're playing with black, but something you want to know with white, because you might catch someone with it. So do not take the knight, just follow through with your development, say e6, and then develop your knight here. This queen might need to move because it's going to be chased away. Get your bishop out to e7 or b4 castle, and it's a game that you get to play. Going back to the move b6 that black played here, which I said I wasn't quite fond of, d5, a very good move played by Rob, chasing the knight away, and now we have some kind of similar idea as in the Alekhine defense with knight f6, where white just pushes pawns forward, Rob just chases the knight away, and now he has a very good position with a lot of space and could eventually go c4, get two extra squares here of space, knight comes behind. Very nice development, lots of pawns forward, whereas black is really struggling with the development. So, you know, if you check the engine, it's going to tell you to play some h4 in this position, which, you know, actually might be quite cool. But if you're more of a positional player and you care about, you know, respecting the principles of a chess opening, which we state that you should develop the pieces after pushing a couple of pawns forward, then you probably should think of this move. Get your bishop out, maybe castle, and eventually you'll start pushing the pawns forward even more. Now in this position, Rob played the move f5, and normally I would be saying, you know what, Rob, that might not have been such a great idea, because you see, every time you push a pawn forward, you're leaving a square behind, and here you're leaving that square where black can come back, and you know, the knight definitely stands better in the center than it stands to the side. So he might have rushed a bit with this move, though the computer might approve, I think it's very important to build up your understanding of things a bit to avoid these kind of moves. You don't want to help your opponent. So, like I said, I would have preferred knight f3, but he played f5, and in this position he played the move knight f3, which now could basically allow black to trade his knight, although he's made so many moves. 4 moves, and now about to make the 5th move. That's a bit too much. And okay, we don't need to capture with the pawn. We can capture with the queen. White's position should be pretty good here, but at least, you know, that knight was traded off without making another pawn push. But instead, black has made this move f6. Now, if you ever followed Ben Feingold, he would tell you never play f6. I don't agree with him 100%, and some people might not be happy about this. I love, you know, Ben's explanation very much, but I think there are situations where you kind of have to play f6 here. Maybe not so much. You're weakening the diagonal, and you risk of getting in big trouble. So that is certainly a move to avoid. Maybe d6 if black didn't want to take. Maybe he could have played d6 in case of a trade. You take like this, and you still have that square for your knight to be developed. It's a very uncomfortable position for black, but maybe he can survive. But after f6, Rob captured. Here he played the move bishop e2, missing a great opportunity, and he says is as well queen h5 check, and this is the reason why f6 should not be played. g6, and now of course we capture. You can't capture back, not because we take the rook, but because we checkmate you. And here black is going to be losing quite a bit of material. We're also threatening g7 or capture, and it will be game over very soon. By the way, this is a threat as well. So Rob misses this for a little bit, which is not really ideal, but he still goes for the idea. The next move is bishop h5. So now if black captures, then queen takes, and you're going to be in trouble once again after g6 we take. So that's the reason why black ended up playing g6 in this position. But after the capture, black loses another pawn, king f8, and now black's king is really weak. So this is a game that maybe not perfectly played, certainly by either one of the players, but it teaches you a few important things that I hope, besides Rob, everyone else who's watching the video gets the chance to learn. So he castled very well, gave up that pawn. He could have considered bishop g6, but of course black can still capture, so it might not be that big of a deal. But I like that he castled, and it's very important when you have extra material to try to find a way to develop your pieces in such a way that you can utilize them. You can actually show the fact that you have extra material. And after bishop g6, rook h8, he developed very nicely the bishop. Then the knight can come this way. King g8 was played, and I'm not a huge fan of this trade. You see, he's giving up his bishop pair. This knight is not going anywhere. I think he could have considered some development, for example, like this. Or this idea is kind of cool too, to open up this diagonal, maybe try to deflect the pawn from protecting the knight. So imagine if something like this would happen, then we can even, like, I think we can capture in f6, and after bishop takes, now we got this queen coming in, not for the rook, but for the actual checkmate that will be very, very close. So you have to be careful with black, but how careful can you be? It's a really tough position for your king. You wasted way too much time with the knight. But Rob made this move, which, again, I think it's a bit dubious. Just think of it this way. Just because you have extra material, it doesn't actually mean that you need to trade all the time. You don't trade a much better piece for a worse one. This is kind of what he's doing, in my opinion. So he shouldn't do that. But a black capture with the pawn instead of the bishop. And with the pawn, actually, it allows white this opportunity to play d6, open up this diagonal as I showed previously for queen d5. That's a check rook, but also queen b3 followed by queen f7 checkmate. Rob missed this opportunity, which is not good that he missed it, because this would be brilliant and pretty fast finish. He played queen g4, which allowed black to maybe get, escape from allowing white to play d6. But then Rob made this trade of bishops, which kind of allows him to blockade the position for this bishop to be quite badly. And then from here on, I thought he played quite well, and it was very hard for black to come up with any kind of escaping ideas. Also keep in mind, if you see a rook on the same file as the opponent's king, that could be nice. But here knight g5, takes, rook g8, and rook takes f6. Brilliant finish here by Rob. And certainly, I hope you guys enjoyed this game. Congratulations to Rob for winning it. Definitely a nice learning idea, hopefully for everyone. We're looking forward to seeing you in future videos. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and see you soon. Definitely check us out, Chess Evolve Academy. Bye for now.